Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Tonight, we drift into a realm where science brushes gently against the unknown. The world of supernatural phenomena has always hovered at the edge of reason, shimmering like a mirage between what we can measure and what we can only feel. From the flicker of unseen lights to the hush of haunted places, from minds that glimpse beyond waking thought to energies that hum beneath our feet, the mysteries of the unseen world have always called to us in whispers. Some say these are signs of other worlds touching ours. Others believe they are reflections of the vast and restless landscape inside the human mind. Wherever the truth may rest, it is a story worth exploring, slowly and softly, in the quiet hours when the veil between wonder and understanding feels thinnest. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, just breathe. Let your eyes grow heavy, and let the unknown cradle your thoughts. Let's begin. The brain can create ghostly presences when certain regions are stimulated. Deep within the folds of the human brain lies a small region called the temporoparietal junction. When this area is electrically stimulated in scientific experiments, volunteers often report a vivid sense that someone unseen is standing just behind them, mirroring their every move. The presence feels real, but there is no one there. It is the brain's remarkable ability to map the body and its surroundings that, when disrupted, projects an image of another self. In extreme cases, people describe this phantom figure as watching, touching, or even pressing against them. Neurologists believe it is the mind's attempt to interpret confusion in the body's spatial signals. What once seemed supernatural may, in truth, be the brain's own shadow made conscious, a fleeting echo of the self mistaken for a spirit moving in the dark. Sleep paralysis may be the root of centuries of demon and witch tales. When the body slips into sleep, muscles become paralyzed to prevent acting out dreams. Occasionally, consciousness awakens before the paralysis fades, trapping the mind in a half-waking state. In this strange limbo, many people feel a crushing weight on their chest and see dark shapes hovering in the room. They try to scream or move, but the body will not respond. For centuries, this terrifying experience was blamed on demons, witches, or shadowy visitors sitting upon the chest of the sleeping. In truth, it is a natural glitch between sleep cycles. During these moments, the brain's dream imagery bleeds into waking perception, turning imagination into a temporary haunting. Those who understand it often find the fear lessons, leaving behind not terror but awe at how powerfully the sleeping mind can create entire worlds that feel utterly real. Infrasound can make people feel haunted without any spirits around. Infrasound refers to sound waves below the range of human hearing, often produced by storms, engines, or wind passing through tunnels and old structures. Though inaudible, these vibrations can resonate with the body, causing unease, dizziness, or the subtle feeling of a presence nearby. Some frequencies even vibrate at the same rate as the human eye, creating fleeting visual distortions that look like shadows moving in peripheral vision. Scientists have recreated these effects in laboratories and found that subjects report chills, anxiety, and sensations of being watched, even in empty rooms. Many so-called haunted locations share this acoustic signature, where infrasound hums through corridors or basements. It seems the unseen can sometimes be explained by air and vibration, yet the eerie emotional response it creates remains deeply human, revealing how sensitive our senses are to the invisible music of the world. Magnetic fields can trick the mind into feeling a supernatural presence. Subtle magnetic fluctuations can alter how the brain processes space and awareness. In certain experiments, Subjects placed inside a helmet generating shifting magnetic fields described vivid feelings of being observed or accompanied. Some sensed unseen figures standing beside them, while others felt drawn into a presence that seemed larger than themselves. Though these experiences were internally generated, they felt completely external and real. Earth itself produces magnetic variations that change with storms, solar activity, and local geology. In old buildings or caves where iron minerals are dense, the magnetic environment can fluctuate wildly, perhaps contributing to reports of haunting or spiritual contact. What is extraordinary is not that the brain can be deceived, but that it transforms invisible energy into profound emotion, suggesting that even the subtlest natural forces can echo through consciousness like whispers of another world. Ghost sightings often spike during changes in air pressure and temperature. Atmospheric shifts can have surprising psychological effects. Rapid drops in barometric pressure, especially before storms, can cause headaches, dizziness, and changes in mood or perception. Combined with humidity and dim light, these conditions can bend how sound and shadow travel through space. A door may creak, a whisper may carry, or a shape may distort into something uncanny. Many famous haunted places are drafty, poorly insulated structures that amplify these sensations. When temperatures fluctuate quickly, breath turns visible, objects expand and contract, and old materials groan. In moments like these, the environment becomes alive with subtle motion and sound, and the mind, ever alert for meaning, weaves them into a story. Perhaps that is why ghost stories have always thrived in stormy weather, when the world itself seems to breathe and sigh with invisible life just beyond our understanding. The haunted feeling in old buildings may come from low-frequency vibrations. Ancient castles, cathedrals, and tunnels often hum with low vibrations from wind, footsteps, or underground water. These frequencies are too deep to hear clearly, but can be felt as pressure in the chest or a faint quiver in the bones. Such sensations stir unease and primal alertness, as though something unseen is moving nearby. Long corridors and stone walls amplify the effect, creating resonant tones that change as one walks. Researchers have measured these vibrations in places long thought haunted and found correlations between their intensity and reports of fear or presence. When the air trembles just below perception, the brain fills in the blanks, inventing a watcher, a whisper, or a ghostly echo. The building itself becomes an instrument playing upon the nerves, reminding us that sound is not only heard but also felt deep within the body. The human brain sees faces in random patterns as a survival reflex. Long before civilization, recognizing faces quickly meant survival. The mind evolved to detect eyes, mouths, and expressions, even in poor light. Today, that ancient reflex still fires when we look at shadows, tree bark, or clouds. This phenomenon, called pareidolia, can make lifeless objects appear animated and aware. In flickering candlelight or shifting darkness, a patch of texture might suddenly become a watching face. Once the pattern is seen, it is nearly impossible to unsee. Many ghost photographs and religious visions arise from this same mechanism, where the brain imposes familiar shapes on chaos. Far from foolishness, it is a testament to the mind's incredible pattern-seeking instinct, one that turns randomness into meaning and imagination into presence, blurring the delicate line between perception and belief that has haunted humanity since the dawn of consciousness. Shadow people might be linked to the brain's peripheral vision system. At the edges of sight, human vision becomes less sharp but more motion-sensitive. In dim light, this can cause dark shapes to appear briefly as the brain struggles to interpret vague information. Fatigue, stress, and slight changes in blood pressure can all heighten this effect. People who experience it often describe fleeting silhouettes or figures darting away when looked at directly. Some report these shapes visiting repeatedly during exhaustion or illness. Scientists believe they are products of the brain's predictive system, which constantly guesses what might appear in the next instant. When uncertainty rises, those guesses can take shadowy form. Yet the emotional impact remains undeniable. Even understanding the mechanism does not fully erase the chill of seeing something that should not be there, reminding us how fragile the boundary is between reality and imagination. Some people are more prone to paranormal experiences because of their temporal lobes. The temporal lobes of the brain play a key role in memory, emotion, and sensory integration. In certain individuals, these regions are unusually sensitive, making them more likely to experience vivid sensations of presence, awe, or fear during stress or fatigue. This heightened activity can merge internal thought with external perception, blurring the line between what is imagined and what is seen. Artists, mystics, and visionaries throughout history may have possessed this same neurological trait, perceiving ordinary stimuli with extraordinary intensity. Some neurologists propose that temporal lobe sensitivity could explain both religious revelation and haunting encounters. Rather than dismissing such experiences, it suggests they may arise from the brain's deepest creative centers, where emotion, memory, and meaning fuse. The supernatural, then, might be not an external force, but the mind glimpsing its own infinite potential. Hallucinations can occur in total darkness even in the absence of any illness. When deprived of light and sensory input, the brain begins to create its own stimuli. In pitch-black rooms or caves, after only a few minutes, people start seeing shifting lights, faces, or landscapes. These visions are not dreams, but waking hallucinations produced by a restless visual cortex searching for input. Over time, they can become complex, with colors, movement, and even sound. Early explorers and monks who spent long periods in darkness often described meeting spirits or divine figures. Modern experiments confirm that such imagery is normal and universal. The mind cannot tolerate nothingness, so it fills the void with its own creations. In that silent theater, imagination and perception merge, turning emptiness into presence and isolation into revelation, as if the darkness itself has begun to dream through the one who waits inside it. Many UFO sightings coincide with secret aerospace experiments. Throughout the 20th century, countless mysterious lights were reported drifting silently across the night sky. In later decades, declassified documents revealed that many of these sightings occurred near restricted testing grounds where new aircraft were being developed. During the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union tested high-altitude planes, stealth prototypes, and reconnaissance balloons that were decades ahead of public knowledge. The unusual movements, speeds, and shapes of these craft defied the imagination of those who saw them. Without context, they seemed unearthly. Even now, when governments conduct atmospheric or orbital experiments, patterns of UFO reports rise sharply in the surrounding regions. What seems supernatural is often the edge of innovation, glimpsed before its time. Yet the fascination remains, reminding us that human technology can appear as strange and wondrous as anything we once believed came from the stars. Ball lightning could explain centuries of glowing orb reports. Witnesses through history have described eerie balls of light drifting through the air, floating into homes, and vanishing in silence. These luminous orbs, once thought to be spirits or wandering souls, may instead be a rare electrical phenomenon known as ball lightning. Scientists have recreated similar effects in laboratories using microwaves and vaporized silicon, producing glowing spheres that hover for several seconds before dissolving. They occur most often during storms, forming when lightning interacts with soil or organic matter. Though unpredictable, the light they emit can appear intelligent, changing direction or pausing mid-air. Before modern understanding, such behavior felt conscious, almost alive. The mystery of ball lightning still endures because no single theory explains every sighting, but its existence bridges folklore and physics, showing how natural forces can take on forms that once belonged only to the realm of the supernatural. Some alien abduction memories mirror symptoms of sleep paralysis. Many people who recall being taken aboard strange craft share remarkably similar experiences: the inability to move, a feeling of pressure on the chest, bright lights, and the sense of an unseen presence nearby. Neurologists have noted that these details closely resemble episodes of sleep paralysis, when the mind awakens but the body remains frozen in its dreaming state. In that fragile moment, dream imagery can project outward into the real world, making imaginary visitors seem utterly tangible. Studies show that cultural expectation shapes what people perceive, meaning that in earlier centuries, the same experience might have produced visions of demons or fairies instead of extraterrestrials. The phenomenon speaks not to deceit, but to the power of the half-waking brain to blend fear, imagination, and reality into an encounter that feels cosmically personal. The mind, in this twilight, becomes both storyteller and stage. The night sky can produce optical illusions that look like moving lights. On clear nights, the atmosphere itself becomes a lens. Shifting air layers bend and refract starlight, making points of light shimmer, drift, or even appear to dance across the horizon. When moisture or ice crystals hang high above, they can split and scatter light into dazzling patterns that seem to move with intent. Pilots and sailors have long known that temperature inversions can create mirages that lift lights from distant ships or cities into the sky. The human eye, seeking order in motion, tracks these changes as purposeful flight. Before satellites and aircraft were common, such illusions inspired countless reports of mysterious visitors. Even today, a planet rising through turbulent air can appear to bob and weave like a hovering craft. What we see above us is filtered through the living air itself, turning simple starlight into a dance of wonder and deception. Cosmic rays occasionally create flashes of light inside human eyes. Far beyond our planet's atmosphere, streams of high-energy particles race through space at nearly the speed of light. When these cosmic rays strike the retina, they can produce small bursts of luminescence that the observer perceives as flashes of light, even in complete darkness. Astronauts aboard space stations have long reported these mysterious sparkles drifting through their vision, sometimes with their eyes closed. On Earth, the effect is rarer because our atmosphere shields most radiation, but sensitive instruments and even airplane passengers at high altitude have detected faint bursts. Early space travelers, unfamiliar with the phenomenon, described them as living lights or otherworldly signals. The truth is no less extraordinary. Subatomic messengers from deep space passing directly through the body, allowing us to glimpse, however briefly, the invisible energy that surrounds and connects every star in the power. Cosmos. Pilots once reported Foo Fighters during wartime, likely a plasma effect. During the Second World War, pilots from both Allied and Axis forces described glowing orbs that followed their planes during night missions. These strange lights, dubbed FU fighters, seemed to dance alongside aircraft, changing color and speed before vanishing. At the time, they were feared to be secret enemy weapons or visitors from beyond Earth. Modern scientists now suspect they were atmospheric plasma, formed by electrical charges from turbulent air or the heat of engines cutting through moisture. Plasma can appear as floating balls of light that move independently, guided by shifting electric fields. The war's skies, filled with stress, fear, and experimental technology, became fertile ground for misinterpretation. Yet the reports remain hauntingly poetic, luminous companions appearing at humanity's darkest hours, reminding us that even conflict can stir the sky into producing beauty and mystery that defy simple explanation. Some meteors explode in the atmosphere with light so strange it seems alive. When a large meteor enters Earth's atmosphere, friction with the air heats it to incredible temperatures, causing it to glow brighter than any star. Sometimes, the pressure becomes so immense that the meteor shatters in a violent burst, scattering fragments and producing pulsing light that flickers like a heartbeat. These bolides can illuminate the night for miles and even create shockwaves that shake windows. The Chelyabinsk event in Russia demonstrated how otherworldly such explosions appear, with glowing trails and sounds that resemble thunder from the heavens. Ancient witnesses often interpreted them as celestial beings or divine omens. Even today, when we understand the science, the sight of a meteor breaking apart still feels alive, as though the sky itself were breathing fire. The cosmos reminds us that natural forces can display a power so strange it transcends explanation and becomes pure awe. Unidentified aerial phenomena are now being studied with military-grade sensors. In recent years, governments have begun releasing footage captured by advanced radar and infrared systems, showing objects moving in ways that defy easy classification. These unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP, accelerate and turn at speeds that seem beyond known technology. Rather than dismissing them as fantasy, researchers now approach the topic with scientific caution, collecting data from multiple instruments simultaneously to rule out sensor error. Many cases may still have mundane explanations, such as optical illusions, atmospheric effects, or classified aircraft. But the investigation itself marks a shift in attitude. What was once dismissed as superstition is now treated as an open question. The effort to study the unknown reflects humanity's curiosity more than its fear, proving that even in the age of satellites and algorithms, we still look to the sky and wonder who or what might be looking back. The human eye can mistake Venus for a hovering craft because of atmospheric refraction. Venus is one of the brightest natural objects in the sky, second only to the moon, and its brilliance often catches observers off guard. When viewed through layers of moving air, its steady glow can appear to flicker, shift, or dart across the horizon. For centuries, countless UFO sightings have occurred when Venus was low in the sky, creating the illusion of movement or proximity. The planet's slow rise and descent can mimic a hovering light following a traveler at night. To the naked eye, its apparent motion seems deliberate, as though controlled. Once understood, the illusion reveals how the atmosphere acts as both artist and trickster, reshaping the heavens into forms that stir imagination. Venus, named for the goddess of beauty, continues to enchant us, its steady radiance transformed by earthly air into a mystery of living light. Radar ghosts can be caused by temperature layers in the sky. Radar systems, designed to detect objects by bouncing radio waves through the atmosphere, can sometimes produce echoes where nothing solid exists. This happens when layers of warm and cool air bend the waves back toward the ground, creating phantom targets that appear to move across screens. During the early days of radar research, these ghosts led to confusion and even alarm, as operators tracked shapes that seemed to vanish without trace. The same atmospheric conditions that create mirages for the eye can also deceive machines. Pilots chasing these illusions sometimes reported visual lights that mirrored the false radar returns, linking technology and perception in a shared hallucination. Though we now understand the physics, The idea of invisible layers of air conjuring apparitions in both instruments and imagination reminds us that even science has its phantoms, dancing within the sky's hidden architecture. Haunted sounds can resonate at the same frequency as the human eye's structure. Low-frequency vibrations between 18 and 19 Hz can interact subtly with the human body, especially the eyeballs. When air or machinery vibrates at this rate, it can cause visual distortions like faint shadows or flashes in peripheral vision. Engineers once discovered this effect in a laboratory where workers reported a ghostly presence, only to find a ventilation fan producing that precise tone. When the fan was turned off, the haunting vanished. The frequency is too low to be consciously heard, yet the body feels it as pressure and unease. Cathedrals, tunnels, and old buildings often generate similar resonances, especially when wind flows through narrow spaces. Such vibrations may have inspired many ghost stories long before science could measure them. It is remarkable that something as simple as sound, when slowed beyond hearing, can reach into perception and stir ancient instincts of fear and wonder. Cold spots in haunted houses often match areas of airflow turbulence. Visitors exploring haunted places frequently report sudden chills or temperature drops that seem confined to certain spots. Investigators using thermal cameras and airflow sensors have found that these areas usually correspond to drafts, vents, or convection currents created by uneven heating. In older buildings, gaps around windows and floorboards can funnel cool air in unpredictable ways, making it seem as if an invisible presence passes through the room. When humidity is high, this effect intensifies, producing the sensation of movement across the skin. The mind, attuned to patterns, interprets the physical as supernatural. While science can explain the mechanics, the experience itself still feels deeply mysterious. Even understanding cannot remove the quiet thrill of standing in a shadowed corridor where the air suddenly grows cold, as though the building itself breathes secrets older than its walls. Many EVP recordings contain fragments of radio waves, not spirits. Electronic voice phenomena, or EVP, are mysterious sounds or voices said to appear on recordings when no one is speaking. Enthusiasts often interpret them as messages from the dead. However, research has shown that many of these recordings capture stray fragments of radio broadcasts or environmental noise that mimics speech patterns. Sensitive microphones and poorly shielded cables can pick up distant transmissions reflected off metal surfaces or carried by weather conditions. When these faint signals mix with static, the brain instinctively searches for recognizable words, a process called auditory pareidolia. It is easy to hear meaning where there is none, especially when expectation is high. Yet the fascination with EVP endures because it sits at the crossroads of technology and mystery, revealing both the mind's hunger for connection and the universe's endless ability to whisper through the static. High carbon monoxide levels once made entire families believe their house was haunted. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, before modern ventilation, gas lamps and faulty furnaces sometimes leaked carbon monoxide into homes. The invisible gas caused headaches, dizziness, hallucinations, and feelings of dread. People would see figures, hear voices, or sense a malevolent presence stalking their rooms. Entire households experienced identical visions, leading investigators to conclude the house was haunted. Only later did doctors connect the symptoms to carbon monoxide poisoning. Once the leaks were repaired, the hauntings stopped completely. The discovery became a turning point in understanding how environmental factors can shape the supernatural stories we tell. It serves as a quiet warning that the line between haunting and hazard is thin, and that sometimes the ghosts that frighten us are not from another world at all, but from the air we breathe. The smell of rotting wood can release hallucinogenic compounds. Certain molds and fungi that grow on decaying timber release chemicals similar in structure to mild hallucinogens. In confined or poorly ventilated spaces, inhaling these spores can cause dizziness, blurred vision, or a feeling of unreality. Investigators studying haunted houses have found that many reported apparitions occurred in damp basements or attics rich with such growth. The experience of fainting or seeing movement in periphery can come from these natural toxins. In earlier centuries, when sanitation was limited, exposure to mold was common and often mistaken for possession or witchcraft. Modern science has revealed that air quality can shape perception in ways that feel spiritual or terrifying. The scent of decay, long associated with death and spirits, may literally alter consciousness, giving rise to the illusions and sensations that inspired generations of ghost stories whispered through the ages. Dim lighting changes how the brain interprets shadows and movement. Human vision relies on contrast and clarity to interpret space. In low light, the brain compensates by amplifying motion and guessing outlines, making stationary objects appear to shift or sway. Candlelight, gas lamps, or moonlight all flicker just enough to animate the edges of perception. When combined with fatigue or fear, these flickers become figures moving in the dark. Experiments show that participants exposed to faint, shifting light often perceive shapes that vanish when brightness increases. This effect explains why many ghost sightings occur at twilight or in candlelit settings, when light dances just beyond certainty. The beauty of the phenomenon is that it reveals how creativity is built into perception itself. The world we see in dimness is part memory, part imagination, a living canvas where reality and dream intermingle like the play of shadows on stone. People walking alone at night are more likely to sense invisible company. The human nervous system is finely tuned to detect threats in the dark. When alone at night, hearing sharpens, footsteps echo, and the brain amplifies every rustle into possible danger. This ancient survival mechanism creates the illusion of being followed or watched. Psychologists call it hypervigilance, a stage in which imagination fills sensory gaps with imagined presences. In experiments, subjects walking through dimly lit corridors often report feeling someone just behind them, even when no one is there. The experience can escalate to hearing whispers or sensing breath on the neck. Though rooted in biology, it feels profoundly supernatural. Our ancestors survived by assuming the unseen was alive and aware. That instinct endures, transforming ordinary darkness into a stage for ghosts, spirits, or memories of the countless eyes that once watched from the wilderness beyond the firelight. Sudden drops in barometric pressure can alter how we perceive fear. When the atmosphere changes quickly, the body senses it before the conscious mind does. Falling air pressure can trigger mild headaches, sinus tension, and shifts in blood flow that subtly affect mood. People often describe feeling uneasy or anxious just before storms arrive. In enclosed spaces, this sensation amplifies, creating a heaviness that seems to fill the air itself. Haunted locations frequently coincide with such environmental fluctuations, making them feel charged with unseen energy. Researchers studying weather and emotion have found that these pressure changes can heighten alertness and fear responses, priming the imagination. A stormy night then becomes the perfect stage for haunting stories because nature itself alters the chemistry of perception. The sky's invisible pulse stirs something ancient within us, reminding us that the boundary between atmosphere and emotion is as thin as mist. Some haunted houses sit near seismic faults that generate tiny tremors. Subtle ground vibrations, far below the level of conscious detection, can still influence human perception. In regions where small tremors occur regularly, people often report strange sensations, dizziness, or the feeling that rooms are shifting. These vibrations can cause objects to rattle or lights to flicker, reinforcing the sense of an unseen force at work. Researchers have mapped several famously haunted sites and discovered that many lie directly above fault lines or unstable geological formations. The Earth's natural restlessness can create a living energy within structures, moving air, sound, and light in unpredictable ways. Ancient cultures often built temples on such sites, believing them to be sacred thresholds where worlds meet. In truth, they may have felt the Earth's deep voice, a reminder that our planet is never still, whispering through stone the same mysteries that once inspired awe and reverence. Static electricity can make hair rise and feel like an unseen touch. When dry air builds charge on the body or surfaces, tiny sparks can jump invisibly from skin to nearby objects. This produces the distinct sensation of being touched or brushed, even when nothing is visible. In dark rooms, static can also cause faint flashes of blue light or make fabric move slightly, adding to the illusion of a ghostly hand. Investigators using electromagnetic detectors have found that many haunted places accumulate static due to old wiring, carpets, and dry conditions. The electric charge interacts with the body's own field, sending tingling sensations along the scalp and arms. Long before the science of electricity was understood, such moments felt deeply supernatural. What we experience as a spirit's caress may be the smallest spark of nature itself, reminding us that even the invisible physics of air can stir the imagination into wonder. Near-death experiences often begin with the brain flooding itself with serotonin. At the boundary between life and death, the nervous system unleashes a protective cascade that steadies perception and quiets fear. Among these signals, serotonin rises sharply, bathing neural circuits with a balancing influence that can heighten color, intensify imagery, and produce a deep sense of calm. Clinicians and researchers have documented accounts in which people describe peace, presence, and meaning despite failing oxygen and fading heartbeat. This chemistry helps maintain coordination across networks so that thoughts do not fragment into panic. The effect does not cancel mystery, it frames it. Many who return from this threshold say the experience changes priorities, softens anxiety, and brightens gratitude for ordinary moments. Whether the surge is simply the brain's way of easing the passage or something more, the outcome is practical and humane. In those final minutes, the mind often chooses coherence over chaos, arranging memory and light into a kind of farewell that feels both intimate and immense. The tunnel of light may be the brain's vision collapsing from the center outward. When blood flow to the visual system falls, cells at the edge of the field fail first, while central vision remains active a little longer. The result is a narrowing ring of darkness surrounding a bright core that seems to draw awareness forward. Pilots exposed to intense acceleration report similar narrowing when circulation shifts away from the head, and patients undergoing controlled experiments with reduced oxygen show the same geometry. The sensation of movement through a glowing corridor can arise even when the body lies still, because the brain reads shrinking illumination as forward travel. None of this diminishes the power of the image. The path through shadow into radiance is both a biological sequence and a human archetype. Physiology describes the map, while meaning describes the journey. In that converging circle, hope and memory concentrate, and the mind focuses on the brightest point available, a final orientation toward what feels like home. Many people report meeting deceased relatives during oxygen deprivation. When oxygen drops, memory networks release vivid autobiographical images with unusual immediacy. Faces appear with striking clarity, familiar voices seem present, and gestures long vanished return with warmth. Neurological models point to limbic and temporal activation that fuses emotion with stored pictures, creating encounters that feel external although they arise within. Those who live through the event often insist the meetings were real and benevolent. Across cultures and centuries, the pattern repeats in hospitals, on mountains, and in remote places far from help. The landscape may differ, yet the company remains constant, the people most loved or most needed. Whatever the mechanism, the impact is measurable. Anxiety about death eases, reconciliation deepens, and grief sometimes loosens its tightest knots. At the brink, consciousness seems to put relationship at the center. The final theater of the mind fills with connection, as if love were the last language it chooses to speak. Some scientists think the feeling of leaving the body is a temporal parietal glitch. The sense of being located inside a body is an active construction, stitched moment by moment from touch, balance, sight, and internal signals. At the junction of temporal and parietal regions, these streams are combined into a stable map of self in space. When timing or coherence falters, the brain can resolve the conflict by generating a viewpoint beside or above the body, a perspective that feels authentic because it uses the same sensory materials. Electrical and magnetic stimulation in controlled settings has produced floating sensations, watching from a corner of the room, and the impression of observing medical teams at work. Trauma, migraine, and meditation sometimes open the same door without equipment. The discovery is not a dismissal. It reveals flexibility. Self-location can shift under pressure, then return. For many, the memory of that wider vantage persists as calm, as if awareness learned that it can loosen its anchor without losing itself. Cultures around the world describe the same life review phenomenon. Ancient texts and modern interviews describe a panoramic unfolding in which actions and consequences appear together with startling clarity. People report that events from childhood to the present rise all at once, accompanied by an understanding of how each choice felt to others. One hypothesis holds that broad activation of memory and empathy networks removes the bottlenecks that usually filter recall, allowing timelines to overlap. Another suggests that moral salience is amplified, so that meaning, not chronology, organizes the view. The striking feature is the tone. The review is often described as exact yet compassionate, like a ledger that balances without cruelty. Afterward, many feel compelled to live with greater patience, honesty, and kindness. Whether this is neural bookkeeping or a ritual at a threshold beyond biology, it shows that when time grows thin, consciousness seeks coherence, and it seeks it with a heart. People resuscitated after clinical death frequently lose fear of dying. Follow-up studies of cardiac arrest survivors reveal a consistent shift toward acceptance, gratitude, and attention to relationships. Some recall luminous scenes. Others remember only stillness. Across both groups, everyday anxieties lose their grip, and small joys become bright. Psychologists describe several possible drivers. Close contact with mortality reframes priorities. Neurochemical states during the crisis imprint an enduring calm. The simple wonder of waking again becomes a practice instead of a memory. However it arises, the change is practical. People simplify commitments, repair friendships, and treat time as a gift rather than a burden to fill. The experience does not remove sorrow. It enlarges the container that holds it so that grief becomes part of a wider field of meaning. In that wider field, death looks less like a fall into darkness and more like a return to rest. The brain can generate profoundly spiritual experiences using mild electrical pulses. Targeted magnetic and electrical patterns delivered to temporal regions can evoke presence, unity, and warmth, without drugs and without suggestion. Volunteers describe clarity, timelessness, and a dissolving of ordinary boundaries that is indistinguishable from accounts found in contemplative traditions. The finding implies that the architecture for awe is native to the human brain, waiting for conditions that bring distant networks into resonance. This does not reduce devotion to machinery. It reveals that the machinery is capable of devotion. Similar states arise in music, ritual, wilderness solitude, and deep grief, which suggests that many paths converge on shared neural harmonies. The practical lesson is that meaning can be cultivated. Attention, rhythm, breath, and gentle stimulation all shape perception toward breadth and care. What begins as patterned electricity can flower into compassion, the most reliable sign that an experience has touched something real in the person who carries it forward. Meditation can trigger similar brain states to near-death experiences. Disciplined practice slows breathing, steadies heart rhythms, and brings far-flung neural assemblies into synchronized patterns. Imaging of experienced practitioners shows reduced activity in regions that enforce a narrow sense of self and increased coherence in networks linked to vision and emotion. Reports from retreats and monasteries describe radiant stillness, a merging with a wider presence and freedom from the pressure of time. The overlap with accounts from the edge of life suggests that transcendence is not reserved for crisis. It is a capacity of attention that can be learned, refined, and shared. This discovery is practical as well as profound. It places the doorway to peace within reach of ordinary days, not as escape, but as a way of inhabiting work, family, and community with steadiness. The brain appears to hold both survival maps and serenity maps, and practice teaches it which one to consult. Some believe consciousness might persist briefly after heart activity stops. During cardiac arrest, recordings sometimes capture organized brain activity for a short interval after the pulse is lost. The patterns resemble rhythms involved in memory and awareness. People who are later revived occasionally recount specific details from the scene, describing sounds and sequences that can be verified by staff. Explanations include residual processing and last bursts of coordinated firing that weave perception into a coherent moment before fading. The possibility does not claim immortality. It challenges the idea that awareness ends at a single instant. It hints at a gradient, a twilight in which the mind may still gather experience as systems shut down. Even if brief, this window carries weight. It invites gentleness in care, humility in claims, and a sense that endings can contain a surprising amount of life. The sense of floating above the body can be induced in virtual reality experiments. Researchers align a visual avatar with synchronized touches delivered to the participant, and then shift the camera view a short distance away. Within moments, ownership migrates toward the visible body, and perspective lifts as if attention had stepped outside its usual frame. Measurements show that people reach toward the avatar as if it were the true location of self, while their physical hands remain elsewhere. The demonstration reveals that selfhood depends on agreement among senses rather than on a fixed place. Break the agreement, and the map redraws itself. For those who have known spontaneous departures during illness or meditation, this controlled mirror offers both validation and explanation. The experience is not weakness. It is flexibility. Awareness can relocate and then return, like a traveler who finds a new overlook and learns something by seeing from a height. Reports of poltergeists often coincide with puberty or emotional stress. Case histories repeatedly show disturbances emerging in households during adolescent transitions or periods of intense strain. Sleep becomes irregular, attention narrows to threat, and sensitivity to noise and movement rises. Small incidents cluster into patterns that feel charged, and meaning collects around knocks, creaks, and shifting objects. Sometimes drafts or loose fixtures provide the initial sparks. Sometimes human anxiety supplies the fuel. When families address the stress through rest, conversation, and support, the disturbances often fade without rituals or confrontation. The story remains compelling because it externalizes inner weather. Doors slam like anger, taps click like worry, and lights flutter like grief. The resolution is likewise human. Calm returns, and with it a simple quiet that feels like blessing. In this frame, a house becomes a barometer of the hearts within it. Some psychokinesis studies suggest random number generators shift slightly with intense focus. Devices that produce sequences intended to be purely random have, in some trials, shown tiny deviations when participants concentrate on biasing outcomes. The effects are small, yet the persistence across repeated sessions keeps investigation alive. Skeptics point to selection errors and subtle artifacts. Advocates call for refined protocols, broader datasets, and transparent pre-registration. Whatever the verdict, the work illuminates a deeper question. Is awareness only observer, or can it nudge probability in ways not yet modeled? The most intriguing reports come when effort softens into relaxed attention, a state described as clear, steady, and connected. Even if the deviations vanish under stronger controls, the research leaves a gift. It reminds science to be humble, and it reminds seekers to be rigorous, so that curiosity and caution can walk together without losing their step. No physical object has ever been proven to move without external force. Across decades of careful testing, alleged telekinesis has not produced motion that survives strict controls. When objects slide or jump, investigators usually uncover vibration, airflow, magnetism, static, misperception, or unintentional influence. This conclusion upholds the durable laws of momentum that let bridges stand and spacecraft navigate. Yet the dream of mind over matter persists because it points to something true about agency. Intention may not lift a cup across a table, but it lifts a person across a life, shaping choices that shape worlds. Science draws the boundary kindly and invites wonder to flourish where it is strongest, in creativity, compassion, and shared meaning. Within those fields, thought does move matter through hands and tools and communities, a quieter miracle that requires no broken rules to astonish. Microseismic vibrations can cause objects to rattle on their own. The planet carries a constant hum generated by ocean waves, distant storms, and faraway earthquakes. Buildings can amplify these faint signals so that shelves tingle, windows tick, and fixtures sway in otherwise still rooms. Sensitive instruments reveal regular patterns that match known microseisms, confirming a planetary rather than paranormal source. In the quiet of night, when other sounds fall away, these subtle motions step into the foreground and acquire a feeling of intention. The explanation does not erase the wonder. A creak can be the touch of wind crossing a sea and arriving through stone. A knock can be the echo of weather translated by joists and nails. To notice this is to hear a kind of music, the slow rhythm of earth playing through the architecture that shelters us. Electrical appliances sometimes activate spontaneously from power fluctuations. Televisions that blink awake and radios that murmur in empty rooms often respond to voltage spikes, capacitor discharge, and interference from nearby transmitters. Old wiring can dip below thresholds that reset electronics, and storms can push devices through states that look like intention. Speakers can catch fragments of broadcasts that sound like voices addressing the listener. The experience feels personal because it takes place in private space and coincides with attention. Understanding returns the event to the larger system it belongs to. Electricity behaves like weather, flowing, pooling, and gusting through circuits that act like terrain. Knowing this does not remove the shiver. It reframes it as respect for an invisible ocean that fills our homes with power and with signals, a sea of motion that occasionally splashes over the edge. Sound waves can levitate small objects, creating the illusion of telekinesis. Arrays of ultrasonic emitters can form standing waves with pockets of lowered pressure that trap tiny beads, droplets, and bits of foam against gravity. By shifting phase and frequency, operators steer the trapped objects through air with careful precision, weaving arcs and spirals that seem to answer thought. The demonstration reveals a principle that recurs across nature. Form arises from vibration. Musical strings carve patterns in air. Plates dusted with powder sketch intricate shapes when they sing. In laboratories, the same logic becomes a tool for manufacturing and research, moving delicate materials without touch. To an audience unaware of the machinery, the sight looks like magic. The truth is just as beautiful. Pressure becomes a hand, and sound becomes a gentle lever that lifts the world one grain at a time. Early ghost hunters mistook air convection for moving curtains. Before central heating, rooms relied on flames for warmth and light. Rising air above candles and fires drifted across ceilings and sank along cold walls, creating slow rivers that tugged at fabric and loosened latches. Investigators seeking signs of presence entered with lanterns and notebooks and found motion that seemed to answer their arrival. Later measurements showed that even a small flame can drive currents strong enough to sway cloth several feet away. The correction does not mock the past. It honors observation and improves it. Wonder matures from superstition into physics without losing its sparkle. The same movement that once suggested spirits now teaches fluid dynamics in classrooms, and the same flicker that once startled a watcher now invites a question. What path is the air taking through this room? Static charges from clothing can knock small items over. Rubbing fabrics transfers electrons and builds fields that reach into the surrounding air. In dry conditions, a fingertip can release a tiny burst that lifts a thread or nudges a slip of paper as surely as a breath. Sparks sometimes flash blue between hand and metal, making motion feel intentional when it is only the weather of charge. Many classic reports of small objects shifting in still rooms can be recreated with sweaters, carpets, and a few steps taken in socks. The phenomenon does not drain wonder from the scene. It redirects wonder toward the quiet powers that run through ordinary life. The same electricity that cracks in thunderheads travels softly along cuffs and pages, animating the world in miniature and reminding us that even stillness hums. Laboratory studies show people overestimate their influence during coincidences. When desire and outcome appear near each other, the mind stitches a story that places intention at the center. Experiments with random processes show that participants remember alignments that confirm their wishes and forget the many that do not, building a picture of control out of uneven recollection. This is not foolishness. It is a feature of a brain built to find patterns in noise, a gift that once aided survival and still fuels creativity. The same impulse that writes superstition also writes poetry and science, both attempts to connect events with meaning. By noticing the bias, we keep the gift while limiting the cost. Coincidence becomes a prompt for curiosity rather than proof of power, and wonder survives alongside honesty about chance. Poltergeist events often cease when psychological tension in a home resolves. Long observations reveal that clusters of disturbances tend to fade when families address grief, anger, or uncertainty. Better sleep follows hard conversations. Attention stops scanning for threat, and small noises lose their alarming edge. Practical fixes help, securing shelves, sealing drafts, checking wiring. The deeper change is whether inside the home. Rooms that felt charged begin to feel ordinary, not because mystery has been banished, but because fear has been eased. In this view, a haunting becomes a mirror that shows stress as motion and sound. The remedy is not spectacle. It is care. When people listen to one another and lighten the load, the house grows quiet, and the quiet feels earned, like a blessing but arrives when the storm has finally passed. Animal behavior is often mistaken for signs of the supernatural. For thousands of years, animals have been our early warning systems, our omens, and our messengers. Their heightened senses allow them to detect vibrations, smells, and sounds long before humans do. A dog's sudden growl at an empty doorway, a flock of birds taking flight at twilight, or a cat staring fixedly into darkness can all feel otherworldly. Yet in almost every case, the behavior reflects a sensitivity to details beneath our perception threshold. Some species hear ultrasonic frequencies from electrical devices, smell trace gases from decaying material, or feel subtle tremors from passing vehicles. Still, the unease these moments inspire has a strange poetry. The animal's awareness touches something ancient in us, the instinct that survival once depended on reading signs from the living world. Even when we know the science, a shiver remains, because intuition and superstition grew from the same seed, the wish to understand what watches when we cannot see. Cats can sense tiny vibrations that humans cannot detect. A cat's whiskers, called vibrissae, are exquisite instruments. Each one is rooted deep within a cluster of nerve endings that pick up changes in air movement and surface vibration. This sensitivity allows cats to navigate darkness, track unseen insects, and detect distant footsteps long before they are audible to humans. When a cat suddenly tenses or stares into an empty space, it is often responding to imperceptible cues like shifting air pressure or low rumbling frequencies. In folklore, such behavior became a sign of spirits or energies invisible to people, because the animal's reaction seemed too precise to be random. Science now reveals that cats simply occupy a sensory world richer in texture than our own. Yet the fascination endures. Watching a feline pause and listen to silence reminds us that reality has layers we rarely feel, and that nature has given some creatures a closer touch on the pulse of the unseen. Dogs sometimes bark at electrical hum frequencies below human hearing. Domestic dogs possess hearing that stretches far beyond the upper and lower limits of human perception. They can detect sounds between roughly 15 and 60,000 hertz, including the deep vibrations of electrical transformers, underground cables, and appliances. When a dog suddenly barks at an empty corner or whines near a wall, it may be responding to subtle vibrations in wiring or to low-frequency hums generated by alternating current. The noise may carry emotional weight because the animal reacts to what we cannot verify. In earlier centuries, such behavior was seen as evidence of invisible company, as though the dog were guarding its owner from an unseen visitor. Today, acoustic measurements often uncover a rational explanation, yet the moment remains uncanny. A companion animal looking into darkness and sounding an alarm awakens an ancient awareness that the world hums with energies our bodies no longer hear. Infrasound from ocean waves can travel miles and cause unease. Below the threshold of hearing, powerful waves and storms generate deep vibrations that move through the air and the ground across vast distances. These waves, known as infrasound, can rattle windows, shift pressure within the ear, and subtly resonate in the chest. Humans cannot consciously hear them, yet the body can feel them as a faint trembling that evokes anxiety or awe. Many reports of haunted coastal areas or mysterious hums near cliffs correspond with infrasound readings from nearby surf or wind tunnels. The physical sensation of vibration without an audible cause creates the impression of presence, a feeling that something unseen is moving nearby. Scientists have reproduced similar effects in laboratories, where low-frequency speakers evoke sadness, chills, or reverence. The ocean, through its endless pulse, whispers to us below the edge of awareness, shaping emotion with waves that never break upon the shore of sound. Migratory birds use Earth's magnetic field, which sometimes shifts unpredictably. Inside the cells of many migratory birds lies a molecule called cryptochrome that reacts to the planet's magnetic field. This reaction allows the birds to navigate enormous distances using patterns invisible to the human eye. Yet Earth's magnetism is not constant. Solar storms, geological formations, and subtle shifts in the core can distort local fields. When that happens, flocks may veer off course, appearing suddenly where they do not belong, or circling in confusion. To early observers, such mass movements were omens of disaster, spirits in the sky, or signs from the gods. Modern science views them as the side effects of an exquisite navigational system working near its limits. These invisible maps guide creatures through darkness and across oceans, tracing pathways that remind us how much of life depends on forces we cannot touch. The sky, it seems, is full of invisible roads written in magnetism and flight. Certain fungi release spores that induce short hallucinatory episodes. In damp forests and ancient cellars, some species of mold and fungus emit airborne compounds that affect the human nervous system. Spores containing alkaloids or volatile chemicals can cause mild disorientation, visual shimmer, and the feeling of being watched. Historical accounts of haunted houses sometimes describe symptoms identical to those experienced after exposure to these natural toxins. In one well-documented case, a farmhouse plagued by ghostly visions was later found to harbor heavy growths of a hallucinogenic fungus behind the wallpaper. Once removed, the experiences ceased. The discovery offered a bridge between folklore and biology, showing that invisible life can shape perception without malice or intention. Even so, the idea remains haunting in itself. The same ancient organisms that digest fallen wood and nourish forests can also bend human reality for a moment, reminding us that every breath carries both chemistry and mystery. Bioluminescent organisms have inspired countless ghost-like myths. Long before electricity, travelers through forests or marshes sometimes saw pale lights drifting across the night. Some of these lights came from colonies of glowing fungi feeding on decaying trees, others from insects whose bodies turn chemical energy into cold radiance. The steady shimmer of foxfire or the pulsing glow of beetles seemed supernatural to observers who had no concept of bioluminescence. These living lanterns gave rise to stories of wandering souls, fairies, and ancestral spirits. Modern research reveals that the glow comes from a molecule called luciferin reacting with oxygen, a process so efficient that it wastes almost no energy as heat. Yet knowing this does not erase the wonder. Bioluminescence still looks like a message written in light, a reminder that nature loves spectacle. The forests that once frightened travelers remain theaters of gentle miracles, where even decay carries its own small constellation. Swamp gas can ignite spontaneously, creating dancing orbs. In wetlands and bogs, decomposing vegetation releases methane and phosphine into the air. When these gases mix with oxygen, they can ignite with the slightest spark, producing flickering blue or green flames that drift above the surface. The movement seems deliberate because the flames follow invisible currents of warm air, gliding slowly through mist before fading. For centuries, these ghostly fires were interpreted as wandering spirits or guides to the underworld. The phenomenon gave rise to names like ignis fatuus, meaning foolish fire. Scientists now understand the chemistry, yet the visual poetry remains. A swamp at night still carries a soft glow where life and decay meet, proof that energy never truly disappears but transforms. The dancing orbs, once feared as omens, are nature's quiet celebration of renewal, light born from the breath of the earth itself. Some fairy rings are perfect circles of fungal growth over centuries old. In meadows across Europe and beyond, circular patches of mushrooms appear seasonally, marking the outer edge of an underground network expanding outward from a single origin. Each year, the mycelium exhausts nutrients at its center and pushes farther into untouched soil, creating a near-perfect ring that can reach several meters in diameter. Folklore claimed that these circles were footprints of dancing spirits, portals to another realm, or boundaries never to be crossed. Modern ecology reveals a far older and subtler story. The organism beneath the surface can live for centuries, quietly recycling nutrients and supporting plant life above. The ring is both map and memory, tracing time through slow geometry. Standing at its edge, one feels the precision of nature mistaken for enchantment, and realizes that the two are often the same thing told in different languages of wonder. Will-o'-the-wisp legends likely began with chemical reactions in marshes. Throughout history, travelers in low wetlands told of flickering lights that retreated when approached and vanished when chased. In reality, these luminous apparitions may arise from small pockets of methane, igniting through oxidation of phosphine or diphosphane, emitted by decaying organic matter. The chemistry produces faint bluish glows that hover just above the ground. Early naturalists tried to replicate the effect using captured marsh gases, confirming that spontaneous ignition could indeed form moving orbs. Despite the explanation, the legend persists because the site itself feels alive. A flame without fuel, dancing through fog, speaks directly to the imagination. In the stillness of a swamp, where each step releases the breath of buried vegetation, the line between physics and folklore blurs. The same reactions that feed soil with new carbon also write short-lived poems of light, turning decay into a fleeting performance of renewal. Psychic predictions often match probability better than random chance. When researchers examine large collections of recorded predictions, they often find a curious pattern. Certain forecasts align with statistical likelihoods slightly more often than pure randomness would predict. For example, predicting that a coin will land heads half the time or that rain will fall in a wet season seems obvious, yet some intuitive guesses appear tuned to subtle cues in the environment. Analysts suggest that unconscious pattern recognition, not supernatural power, explains the effect. Humans constantly process background information without realizing it, integrating tone, context, and habit into expectation. What feels like prophecy may be a mind performing at its peak. Still, the boundary between intuition and precognition remains a mystery worth exploring. Each accurate insight invites the question of how much the body knows before thought catches up, and whether the brain's quiet computations might be the roots of what we call foresight. Cold reading uses subtle cues to create the illusion of telepathy. Performers who appear to read minds often rely on a technique called cold reading, which combines observation, psychology, and general statements shaped to fit many lives. By paying close attention to posture, clothing, and micro-expressions, a skilled reader can infer age, temperament, or recent experience. They begin with broad suggestions that sound personal, then refine their claims based on the subject's reactions. Each confirmation builds a sense of accuracy until the audience feels genuine contact. The process reveals how deeply humans long to be understood, and how easily empathy can resemble magic. When practiced ethically, cold reading becomes a study of communication and trust. When used dishonestly, it demonstrates how belief can override skepticism. The lesson is neither cynicism nor dismissal, but curiosity about the astonishing sensitivity of perception. The same skills that create illusion can also teach compassion if turned toward truth. People remember hits and forget misses, reinforcing belief in fortune-telling. The human brain is biased toward confirmation. When a prediction comes true, we record it vividly. When it fails, we dismiss it or forget. This uneven bookkeeping builds conviction that a seer or psychic possesses insight. Studies in probability and memory show that even random guesses feel accurate if the successes stand out emotionally. The stronger the desire for guidance, the more the mind amplifies evidence that supports it. This mechanism explains why vague horoscopes seem personal and why predictions about health or love feel profound, even when they contradict one another. The pattern does not make people foolish, it makes them human. Memory filters reality through hope and fear, the two oldest currencies of survival. In that light, belief in fortune-telling becomes less a superstition and more a reflection of how deeply we crave meaning in the noise of chance. Card-guessing experiments once suggested small deviations from chance. In the early 20th century, researchers used decks marked with simple symbols to test extrasensory perception. Participants attempted to identify hidden cards while separated from the experimenter. Over thousands of trials, some individuals scored slightly above statistical expectation. Later analysis revealed methodological flaws such as pattern recognition, subtle cues, and non-random shuffling, yet the results fueled decades of inquiry. The fascination lay not only in the numbers, but in the possibility that consciousness might extend beyond sensory channels. Even today, similar studies continue under stricter controls, producing occasional anomalies that neither confirm nor dismiss the idea. The enduring lesson is about curiosity itself. Science advances by testing the improbable, and each careful failure sharpens understanding. Whether or not anyone ever truly sees beyond sight, the search reminds us that open questions keep the frontier of knowledge alive. Quantum randomness still leaves room for philosophical debate on free will. At the smallest scales, particles behave unpredictably. Quantum mechanics describes outcomes as probabilities rather than certainties, meaning that events unfold through distributions rather than fixed paths. Some philosophers see in this unpredictability a possible refuge for free will, a space where human choice might emerge from indeterminacy rather than from strict causation. Others argue that randomness is not freedom, it is simply unpredictability without purpose. Still, the connection between quantum theory and consciousness continues to inspire discussion, not for proof of mysticism, but for what it reveals about reality itself. The universe appears both lawful and uncertain, structured yet supple. That duality mirrors the human condition. We follow rules, yet we imagine choices. Whether decision arises from particles, patterns, or perception, the mystery endures, inviting reflection on how deeply physics and thought may be entwined. Hypnosis can sharpen focus, but does not unlock hidden powers. Under hypnosis, the mind becomes highly responsive to suggestion while maintaining awareness. This state resembles deep relaxation rather than unconsciousness. Studies show that hypnosis can reduce pain, ease anxiety, and improve concentration, but it cannot grant abilities that do not already exist. People cannot read minds, lift objects, or recall forgotten lifetimes simply because they are hypnotized. The technique works by narrowing attention and filtering distraction so that imagination and sensory experience blend. The subject's expectations shape what follows, which is why skilled hypnotists spend time building trust and clarity before induction. The results are impressive yet ordinary, a demonstration of how plastic the brain can be. Hypnosis reminds us that belief and focus change perception profoundly. The magic lies not in mystery powers, but in the quiet flexibility of consciousness that can rewrite its own script for healing or calm. Some people genuinely experience synesthesia that feels like extrasensory perception. For a small percentage of individuals, sensory pathways cross in unusual ways. A sound may evoke a color, a number may have a texture, or a name may taste of citrus or smoke. This blending, known as synesthesia, is not imagination but stable wiring that links separate regions of the brain. To the person who lives with it, the world carries additional layers of meaning, as if reality itself speaks in code. Early accounts of such experiences were sometimes mistaken for psychic gifts because the associations seemed too vivid to explain. Modern neuroscience maps the phenomenon with imaging that reveals simultaneous activation across auditory, visual, and emotional centers. Rather than supernatural, it is supersensory, a glimpse of how elastic perception can be. Synesthesia turns the ordinary into poetry, showing that the boundaries between senses are softer than we once believed. The human brain predicts patterns so well it can imagine future events vividly. Every moment, the brain anticipates what will happen next, building models from past experience and subtle cues. This constant forecasting allows us to catch a ball, finish a sentence, or avoid danger before it appears. Occasionally, these predictions align so perfectly with reality that they feel like premonition. Neuroscientists call this anticipatory processing, a mechanism that compresses time by milliseconds or even seconds. When combined with memory's tendency to rewrite details after the fact, it can produce the illusion of foresight. Yet the experience of knowing something before it occurs remains powerful and transformative. The mind, in its hunger for order, extends itself into the future and occasionally touches truth. What we call prophecy may sometimes be perception running slightly ahead of the present, proof that consciousness is not static, but an ever-reaching hand toward what is about to be. The placebo effect can create real physical changes from belief alone. When the person expects relief, the brain releases chemicals that mimic the effects of actual medicine. Endorphins reduce pain, dopamine lifts mood, and immune responses strengthen. Placebos have healed ulcers, eased depression, and lowered blood pressure in controlled studies. The phenomenon does not mean the illness was imaginary. It means that belief can activate the body's internal pharmacy. In some trials, patients informed that they are receiving a placebo still experience improvement, demonstrating that conscious awareness of the mechanism does not prevent its power. The effect shows that mind and body operate as one system, with expectation acting as a signal that alters physiology. Every culture's healing rituals tap into this principle, whether through prayer, ceremony, or simple reassurance. Faith, it turns out, is biochemistry written in hope, a reminder that trust itself can be medicine. Self-fulfilled prophecies demonstrate how expectation shapes reality. When we believe strongly in a certain outcome, our behavior often shifts in ways that make that outcome more likely. A student convinced of failure studies less. A worker who expects success approaches challenges with calm. The prophecy completes itself through subtle feedback loops of attitude, tone, and persistence. Social psychologists have observed this effect in classrooms, workplaces, and relationships, where expectation becomes the first step in transformation. The mechanism reveals how thought and reality intertwine. Belief guides action, action creates evidence, and evidence strengthens belief. It is both science and story, a continuous loop that explains how optimism builds health and despair drains it. In this light, superstition becomes a distorted reflection of a genuine principle. What we imagine repeatedly gains weight. The line between psychological and physical consequence blurs, reminding us that every prediction is also a seed. Time deception can distort during intense emotional moments. When the mind is flooded with adrenaline, the networks that track time begin to stretch and compress perception. In danger, milliseconds expand so that a single heartbeat feels like a full second. In moments of awe or joy, time can vanish entirely. The brain does this by altering the rate at which sensory information is recorded and consolidated. Under stress, the amygdala floods memory circuits, preserving more detail than usual, which later makes the event seem longer. This distortion has led to countless reports of time slowing in accidents, visions, and near-death experiences. Far from being supernatural, it is the brain's method of survival, granting a longer window for reaction. Yet the sensation still feels magical. In the memory of that suspended instant, we touch a truth about consciousness. Time is not only measured by clocks, but by the intensity with which we live. Déjà vu may be caused by a brief misfire in the memory system. Déjà vu, the eerie certainty that a moment has already been lived, occurs when signals between the hippocampus and temporal cortex fall slightly out of sync. A new experience is processed first in circuits responsible for recognition before it fully reaches conscious awareness. The brain briefly mistakes the present for memory, producing a wave of familiarity that feels profound. Researchers studying epileptic patients who experience frequent déjà vu can trigger the effect by stimulating these regions directly. It is not evidence of past lives or prophecy, but of how close memory and perception sit together in the neural map. The phenomenon reveals the brain's efficiency, linking new input instantly to stored patterns to interpret meaning. When timing slips by a fraction of a second, the system shows its gears, and we glimpse the machinery of remembering as it folds upon itself. Some people experience jamais vu, when the familiar feels strangely new. The counterpart to déjà vu is jamais vu, a sudden estrangement from the ordinary. A person may look at a familiar face or word and feel it has become foreign. The phenomenon arises when recognition circuits momentarily fail, causing the mind to treat the known as unknown. Linguists studying repetition fatigue observe that saying a word aloud many times can trigger the same effect, stripping it of meaning until it sounds alien. Neurologically, jamais vu highlights how fragile familiarity is, depending on constant feedback between perception and memory. When that loop falters, the everyday becomes uncanny. For those who experience it, the world tilts gently, reminding us that stability is a construction of continuous agreement between brain and environment. When that agreement pauses, the ordinary reveals its strangeness, and even our own reflection becomes a question. Premonition dreams are often coincidences enhanced by memory bias. Dreams regularly draw on fragments of recent experience, weaving them into imaginative predictions. When a future event resembles a dream, the match feels prophetic, but psychology offers another explanation. The brain's vast output of nightly imagery guarantees that some dreams will align by chance with later reality. Memory bias strengthens the illusion by selectively recalling hits and forgetting misses by. After something surprising happens, the mind scans its archives for anything that fits and reshapes fragments to form a coherent narrative. Studies of dream diaries show that when all entries are counted, apparent predictions occur no more often than chance. Yet the experience feels significant because it satisfies the brain's deep drive for pattern recognition. Dreams mirror our lives so intricately that coincidence feels like design, a comforting reminder that the subconscious is always rehearsing what tomorrow might bring. The human brain can simulate future scenarios in incredible detail. Imagination is not a passive gift, but an active prediction engine. When we picture tomorrow's events, the same regions that process memory light up to project the future. This capacity allows humans to plan, hope, and worry. Neuroimaging shows that the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus cooperate to assemble sensory fragments into scenes that have never occurred. The vividness can be so strong that imagined events carry emotional weight equal to real memories. This mechanism explains why rehearsing an action improves performance and why anxiety can feel like lived experience. The brain constantly runs simulations to test possibilities, a rehearsal for survival. From this biological skill arise prophecy, foresight, and intuition. What was once called vision is the mind performing its oldest art, turning imagination into a laboratory where time is fluid and the future becomes briefly tangible. Some people with epilepsy report knowing events moments before they occur. Certain forms of temporal lobe epilepsy produce a brief aura before a seizure, an interval filled with heightened awareness, emotion, or clarity. During this time, individuals sometimes report sensing things just before they happen. Science attributes this to unusual synchronization between sensory and emotional centers as electrical activity builds. The brain, hyper-alert and misfiring, predicts incoming stimuli milliseconds in advance, creating the illusion of precognition. Yet the feeling of insight is genuine and often described as sacred or cosmic. Such episodes have inspired religious revelations and creative breakthroughs throughout history. The boundary between illness and inspiration is thin because both involve the brain's capacity to expand perception. These moments reveal how delicate timing defines experience and how a storm of neurons can make the ordinary seem illuminated with meaning beyond its measure. The feeling of being watched may come from subconscious detection of motion. Humans evolved as both predators and prey, equipped with an acute ability to sense when another creature's attention falls upon them. Studies show that even when we cannot consciously see someone, our peripheral vision detects tiny shifts in light, posture, or focus. The amygdala reacts to these subtle cues and sends a jolt of alertness through the body. This mechanism protects us by anticipating social or physical threat, but in solitude it can misfire. The tick of a shadow, a whisper of movement, or the angle of a picture frame may awaken the same ancient circuit. The resulting chill along the spine feels supernatural, yet it is our oldest intuition stirring. The sensation of being watched is a biological echo of vigilance, proof that the body's wisdom often precedes awareness, and that instinct still listens when the eyes see nothing. The mind can link unrelated events to create meaningful patterns. Pattern recognition is one of the brain's greatest strengths and most seductive traps. From constellations to coincidences, we weave connection through the random to make sense of the world. This tendency, called apophenia, arises from the same neural networks that guide creativity and learning. It allows us to interpret faces, language, and cause and effect, but it also leads to superstition and conspiracy. When unrelated events align by chance, dopamine surges reward the feeling of discovery, reinforcing the pattern even if it is false. The result is a world rich with perceived intention. Some see divine messages, others hidden systems. Both spring from the same neural root. Pattern making is how the mind transforms chaos into story, and story into meaning. It is neither flaw nor miracle, but the creative heartbeat of consciousness itself. Quantum physics allows tiny events to be fundamentally unpredictable. At the subatomic level, nature refuses certainty. Particles exist in multiple potential states until observation collapses their probabilities into a single outcome. This randomness is not ignorance, but an intrinsic property of reality. Even with perfect information, the next result cannot be foreseen. Experiments with radioactive decay, photon polarization, and electron spin all confirm this unpredictability. To the human imagination, this boundary between knowing and not knowing feels mystical. Philosophers and physicists alike have wondered whether consciousness plays a role in determining which possibility becomes real. While evidence favors mathematics over mysticism, the awe remains. The universe runs on chance as well as law, and within that interplay lies creativity itself. From atomic uncertainty emerge galaxies, life, and thought. Randomness, rather than disorder, may be the source of everything that can ever surprise us. True randomness in nature is rare and often misunderstood as fate. Most events that appear random follow hidden patterns. Raindrops trace air currents, dice obey physics, and even mutations occur within statistical bounds. Perfect unpredictability exists only at quantum scales, where probabilities replace cause and effect. Yet to human perception, coincidence feels purposeful. The birth of two friends on the same day, or a song playing at a moment of grief, seems too precise for chance. Psychologists call this the narrative bias, the instinct to interpret randomness through story. This bias comforts us, turning chaos into pattern, fate, or destiny. The irony is that while randomness underlies existence, meaning gives it shape. Every coincidence reminds us of the partnership between order and imagination. In trying to find purpose, the mind reveals its deepest habit: to transform probability into poetry and chance into connection. Some haunted locations share geological features that amplify electromagnetic fields. Investigations into famous haunted sites often reveal unusual mineral deposits or geological structures beneath them. Limestone, basalt, and quartz can store and conduct weak electrical currents. Underground water or iron-rich soil further enhances local magnetic fluctuations. Sensitive individuals visiting such places report tingling sensations, disorientation, or feelings of presence. Instruments confirm irregular electromagnetic activity that may influence the brain's temporal lobes, regions tied to emotion and perception. These natural conditions could explain recurring legends of restless spirits. When the environment itself hums, the line between outer and inner perception blurs. What seems supernatural may be the earth speaking through physics. The discovery does not diminish mystery, it shifts it into a deeper register, reminding us that landscape and mind are connected through fields invisible, yet powerful enough to shape what we call haunting. Water sources under buildings can influence vibration and temperature. Flowing water carries kinetic and electrical energy. When streams run beneath structures, they can cause subtle temperature gradients and micro-vibrations that affect acoustics and comfort. Sensitive individuals might sense these changes as unease or presence. In older buildings without modern insulation, the effect can be amplified by humidity and sound resonance, producing faint murmurs or cold spots associated with haunting. Studies in environmental psychology show that such variations can influence mood and attention, creating feelings of being observed or accompanied. Yet the explanation is entirely natural, the quiet physics of moving water interacting with stone and air. The same subterranean currents that cool rooms and echo through pipes once inspired stories of hidden spirits. In every case, the whisper of water reminds us that the earth is alive beneath our feet, endlessly moving, shaping atmosphere and imagination alike. Certain rocks emit weak luminescence when pressed or broken. Some minerals, such as quartz, calcite, and fluorite, release flashes of light when struck or stressed. This phenomenon, known as triboluminescence, occurs as crystal structures fracture and electrons recombine with gas molecules in the air. To the untrained eye, the effect appears supernatural, light born from stone with no fire or spark. Explorers in caves and miners deep underground once told of glowing rocks that pulsed as if alive. Scientists later learned that mechanical energy could transform directly into light through this simple yet elegant process. Even knowing the cause, the sight retains its wonder. The glow of crushed crystals is a reminder that the physical world hides beauty within its structure, waiting for the smallest touch to reveal it. In every fragment lies potential radiance, a quiet echo of the forces that shape the stars. St. Elmo's fire can make metal objects glow like supernatural torches. During thunderstorms, strong electric fields can ionize air around pointed objects such as ship masts or church spires, causing a bluish flame to appear. Sailors once believed this ghostly glow was a guardian spirit protecting them from disaster. In truth, it is plasma formed when charged particles excite molecules in the atmosphere. The light can flicker and dance, clinging to metal like living fire, yet cool to the touch. The phenomenon was named for Saint Erasmus, patron of sailors, and remains one of nature's most haunting spectacles. Even with full scientific understanding, the experience of seeing St. Elmo's fire still carries a sense of blessing. It transforms fear into beauty, electricity into reverence, proving that knowledge does not banish wonder, but illuminates it with an even steadier glow. Radiation from granite can cause strange lights in dark conditions. Granite and other igneous rocks often contain trace amounts of radioactive minerals such as uranium and thorium. As these elements decay, they release energy that can excite nearby atoms, occasionally producing faint luminescence or ionization in air. In completely dark environments, the glow can appear as soft flashes or misty halos, easily mistaken for supernatural activity. Sensitive photographic plates and detectors confirm that these emissions are natural, ancient, and constant. The same decay heat that powers the Earth's core also animates the stones beneath our feet. To early observers, glowing rocks symbolized spirits within the mountain. To modern science, it is a quiet conversation between matter and time. The radiance of granite reminds us that even the most solid things are slowly changing, releasing whispers of light that have traveled through millions of years to reach the present night. Lightning strikes can magnetize soil and leave glowing residues. When a bolt of lightning hits the ground, temperatures soar higher than the surface of the sun. In that instant, sand and minerals melt and fuse into glassy tubes known as fulgurites. The energy can also magnetize surrounding soil and create faint, luminescent aftereffects as trapped electrons slowly recombine. For centuries, people who found glowing ground after storms believed celestial fire had touched the Earth. Modern instruments showed that the glow comes from ionized gases and minerals still releasing stored energy. The process is both violent and delicate, turning chaos into fragile glass sculptures. Each fulgurite is a frozen moment of sky meeting stone, a natural relic of power so immense that it seems divine. Even under analysis, the impression endures. Lightning writes its own language in the sand, signing each storm with light. Ancient structures were often built on sites with unusual natural energy. Many ancient temples and monuments stand on locations that coincide with geological fault lines, underground streams, or deposits of magnetite and quartz. Modern measurements show these areas emit subtle electromagnetic or seismic activity. Ancient builders may have chosen such places for practical reasons, such as stable ground or available material, or perhaps because people could feel something distinctive there. Standing stones that hum faintly in the wind, or caves that resonate with low frequencies, create sensations of reverence and awe. These effects likely contributed to myths of sacred energy or portals between worlds. Science now understands the physics behind them, yet the intuition of early architects remains striking. They built where the earth spoke most clearly, translating vibration and resonance into architecture. The result is that many holy sites still feel alive, carrying within their stones the quiet pulse of the planet. Earthquake lights have been mistaken for otherworldly manifestations. Before and during seismic activity, witnesses sometimes report flashes, orbs, or sheets of light in the sky. These earthquake lights are caused by stress in rocks that releases electrical energy into the atmosphere. The glow can range from faint blue flickers to bright white flares, lasting several seconds. Recorded for centuries, they were once interpreted as divine warnings or spirits fleeing the ground. Only recently have geologists captured them on camera and correlated them with fault movement. The physics involves charged particles traveling along fractures and ionizing the air above. Though rare, the spectacle confirms that the planet's crust can behave like a colossal battery. Knowing this does not lessen its wonder. To see the Earth light itself from strain is to witness geology turned briefly into flame, a reminder that the living world holds beauty even in upheaval. Volcanic gases can create hazy halos around people at night. In volcanic regions, invisible emissions of sulfur and water vapor can scatter light from lamps or the moon, producing faint coronas that follow movement. Travelers once described glowing figures walking through mist near active vents, assuming they were spirits. In reality, the effect arises from microscopic droplets bending light through diffraction, much like halos around the sun. The gases can also ionize slightly under heat, intensifying the glow. Such sights remain uncanny, especially when combined with the low roar of the earth beneath. They remind us that perception is shaped by environment and that nature itself performs illusions grander than any stage. The next time a halo drifts through volcanic fog, it can be seen not as haunting, but as Earth's own slow exhalation, turning chemistry and light into quiet, moving art. Atmospheric plasma events may have inspired ancient fire spirit legends. Rare luminous phenomena known as ball lightning or plasma orbs occur during storms when charged particles form stable spheres of glowing air. These orbs can float silently, pass through openings, and vanish with a soft pop or flash. Modern physics suggests they result from silicon vapor or electromagnetic fields sustaining ionized plasma for several seconds. To ancient observers, they were fire spirits, gods, or omens. Myths of wandering flames and sky lanterns trace back to the same spectacle. Even today, with instruments and equations, the events remain difficult to replicate, straddling the boundary between folklore and laboratory. Each appearance joins weather, energy, and imagination in a single moment. The fire that once frightened travelers now fascinates scientists, proving that the legends of light were never lies, only early descriptions of the same wonder we still chase with instruments instead of prayers. Many cultures describe spirits of the dead guarding specific landscapes. Across deserts, coasts, forests, and mountains, oral histories speak of ancestors who remain near particular cliffs, springs, or groves to watch over the living. Anthropologists see in these stories a sophisticated ecological ethic, because when people believe a valley is watched by elders, they harvest gently, avoid waste, and leave offerings that also serve as nutrient kripah, returns to the soil. Psychology adds another layer, suggesting that grief and memory imprint certain places with heightened feeling, so that a ridge once crossed with a grandparent or a river once fished with a parent carries a steady pressure of presence. Geology sometimes contributes as well, through acoustics that carry voices farther than expected, or through minerals that subtly influence compasses and mood. Whether explained by culture, mind, or rock, the experience produces real outcomes. Sacred hills remain forested. Springs stay clean. Footpaths skirt nesting grounds. What begins as reverence ends as practical conservation, turning remembrance into a living contract with the land. Shared hallucinations occur during group stress and suggestibility. History holds striking accounts of entire crowds seeing lights in the sky, hearing phantom bells, or sensing a figure moving through a battlefield. Under fear and fatigue, the brain becomes highly tuned to social cues. When one person gasps and points, attention locks onto ambiguous stimuli, and the whole group begins filtering perception through the same expectation. Neuroscience calls this entrainment, a temporary alignment of focus and interpretation. Add low visibility, loud noise or hunger, and uncertainty rises until imagination supplies detail. The effect is not foolishness. It is a survival strategy that once helped communities respond quickly to threats. Modern experiments show that synchronized breathing, chanting, or marching further amplifies agreement about what is seen or heard. In those conditions, a flicker becomes a figure, and an echo becomes a voice. The vision may be unreal, yet the coordination is real, binding people together when they most need unity. Rituals can synchronize brainwaves across participants, enhancing unity. Electroencephalogram studies reveal that when people sing, sway, or breathe in rhythm, electrical patterns across separate skulls begin to align. This inter-brain coherence appears strongest in bands associated with attention and empathy, and it correlates with reports of closeness and trust. Anthropologists have long suspected that ceremonies served as technology for solidarity, and now physiology confirms it. The synchrony extends into the body as heart and breath settle into common tempos, easing stress while sharpening collective focus. In that shared cadence, disputes soften and generosity rises. A village can make decisions without fracturing. A congregation can grieve or rejoice without words. None of this requires supernatural agency to feel extraordinary. It is extraordinary because it shows that minds are built to resonate. A circle, a drum, a chant, and a purpose are enough to tune separate lives into one instrument, at least for a luminous hour. Chanting and drumming alter heart rhythms and brain states. Repetition pulls the nervous system toward calm by engaging the vagus pathway that regulates breath, heartbeat, and digestion. As syllables and beats continue, the prefrontal regions that track time and self begin to relax, allowing broader networks to take the lead. People describe warmth behind the sternum, tingling along the scalp, and a widening of attention that feels like a gentle tide. Measurements show increases in slow brain rhythms linked to tranquility, paired with small releases of endorphins that brighten mood. Across monasteries and firesides, the method is consistent because the body is consistent. Breath meets rhythm, rhythm meets heart, and awareness settles. The meaning added by tradition deepens the effect by setting expectation and purpose. Whether the words are sacred or simple, the cycle carries the same promise. A steady pattern can hold a restless mind until stillness returns, like a hand offered in the dark. Sacred sites often sit where sound echoes in unusual ways. Caves with domed ceilings, halls with converging walls, and canyons cut to precise angles can turn a whisper into a chorus. Early builders noticed that some rooms answered song with a lingering tale that made voices seem larger and older than their owners. Those places became altars and sanctuaries. Modern acousticians can map the reflections and identify the frequencies that ring, yet knowing the diagram does not drain the wonder. A single tone in the right chamber, expands into a thrumming presence that vibrates ribs and spine, nudging emotion upward. Add incense, torchlight, and carved stone, and the senses agree that something vast is near. Sound, not silence, becomes the proof of reverence. For sight shapes the ceremony, and the ceremony shapes memory, so that generations later the very step across the threshold restores the echo and the awe. Some possession cases have been linked to neurological disorders. Sudden changes in voice, convulsions, visions, and altered personality have often been interpreted as a spirit taking hold. Clinical evaluation sometimes finds temporal lobe epilepsy, autoimmune encephalitis, dissociative conditions, or toxin exposure. Each can produce intense experiences that feel external to the sufferer. Cultures without medical tools used possession as a framework to understand such upheavals, and that framework brought community, ritual, and attention, which are themselves healing forces. Even today, when medicine addresses the underlying cause, supportive rites can reduce fear and stigma. The key insight is not that mystery is fake, but that the brain can generate overwhelming events that ask for meaning. When treatment and tradition cooperate, outcomes improve. Respect for physiology prevents harm. Respect for story restores dignity. Between the two, a person lost in storm can find a way back to shore. Religious ecstasy can produce physical effects like tremors and heat. Intense devotion activates the sympathetic system that prepares the body for significant events. Blood flow shifts, breathing deepens, and muscles begin to tremble as adrenaline and endorphins circulate together. Practitioners interpret these sensations as sacred fire or indwelling spirit, and the interpretation itself amplifies the physiology by adding purpose. After the crest, a parasympathetic settling follows, sometimes with tears, sometimes with laughter, often with lasting calm. Anthropologists find similar arcs in whirling, prostration, call and response song, and contemplative prayer. The forms differ, the curve remains. Far from discrediting faith, the measurements show that devotion is embodied. The leaf speaks fluently to tissue and nerve, and tissue and nerve answer back with warmth, lightness, and release. What begins as yearning ends as integration, as if the body had been waiting to be invited into the prayer all along. Placebo exorcisms sometimes work because belief is profoundly powerful. When a trusted figure declares that a burden is being lifted, the mind can downshift from alarm to safety. That shift alters hormone levels, quiets threat circuits, and relaxes muscles that had been braced for attack. The relief is real even when the cause is psychological rather than preternatural. This does not belittle the ritual. It highlights the potency of expectation, community, and narrative. Every culture maintains ceremonies for cleansing and release because the nervous system responds to permission to let go. Medical analogues abound, from sugar pills that ease pain to friendly waiting rooms that lower blood pressure. Meaning is medicine. A rite that gathers family, marks an intention, and names an ending can close a chapter that biology alone left open. In that sense, a blessing is a treatment plan written in the language of the heart. Collective belief can shape real behavior and even local environments. Shared conviction guides choices about where to build, what to protect, and how to celebrate. If a grove is home to guardians, the axes stay away. If a stream is sacred, litter never appears and paths are carefully maintained. Over decades, these decisions become geology in slow motion, carving terraces, preserving soils, and keeping waters clear. Economies follow belief as pilgrims travel, artisans work, and markets grow around feast days. Fear can also steer outcomes, as rumors move crowds or close roads, proving that imagination alters traffic as surely as fences. This is not illusion. It is cause and effect. Stories write policy inside the mind, and the policy writes landscape outside the mind. The lesson is sobering and hopeful. When communities choose tales that honor life, the land itself benefits. When they choose tales of suspicion, the harm is equally tangible. Ancient cultures may have used psychoactive plants in religious ceremonies. Archaeology has uncovered residues on cups, pollen in burial sites, and art that depicts vines, mushrooms, and cacti with radiating halos. Pharmacology identifies compounds within these plants that engage serotonin pathways, increasing emotional openness and visual intensity. In carefully held settings, such chemistry can catalyze experiences of unity, forgiveness, or revelation that endure for years. Elders acted as guides to set intention and provide songs that stabilized the journey. The wisdom was not in escape, but in integration, bringing lessons back to feed families, mend rifts, and choose leaders with humility. Modern clinicians study similar compounds for depression and trauma under strict protocols, echoing practices that began countless generations ago. The through line is clear. Humans seek tools that open the heart, teach patience, and remind us that within the mind lies a vast meadow where meaning can bloom. Phantom pain suggests the mind can sense limbs that no longer exist. After amputation, a person may feel itching toes, a clenched fist, or even cramps in a calf that is no longer there. The cortex still holds a detailed map of the missing region and continues to expect input. When neighboring zones take over the silent territory, mixed signals occur, and the brain interprets them as sensation from the absent part. Mirror therapy uses reflection to convince perception that movement is possible, reducing pain by reconciling expectation with new reality. Virtual environments extend the same principle with even greater immersion. The phenomenon offers a profound lesson about presence. The self includes memory and prediction as much as flesh. Loss does not instantly erase representation. In a quiet sense, the body remembers itself and must be gently taught its new shape. Compassion, creativity, and time redraw the map. The brain's default mode network creates inner voices and intuition. When we are at rest and not focused on a task, a constellation of regions becomes active, weaving personal narrative, daydreams, and imagined conversations. This network links the medial prefrontal cortex, posterior cingulate, and temporal areas into a storytelling engine that revisits the past and models the future. The thoughts that rise can feel like counsel from outside, because they arrive unbidden and carry emotional weight. Meditation quiets this system, which is why silence can feel peaceful and clear. Creativity often engages it, which is why a walk can solve a problem that stubborn effort could not. The private commentary that some call intuition is the product of memory meeting prediction. When we treat it with curiosity instead of blind obedience, it becomes a helpful companion rather than a tyrant, a soft guide shaped by everything we have lived. Vivid imagination activates the same areas as actual sensory input. Functional imaging demonstrates that imagining a color engages visual cortex, imagining music engages auditory cortex, and imagining motion engages motor regions. This reuse of pathways explains why athletes improve through mental rehearsal and why fearful thoughts can accelerate pulse and breath without any real danger. It also explains why memories can drift as constructed images blur with what truly occurred. The overlap is a gift when used deliberately. Artists can see before they paint. Musicians can hear before they play. Scientists can test ideas inside the theater of the mind before building a single instrument. The same structure that allows illusion also allows insight. The brain is not a passive camera. It is a projector and a screen, running simulations that, at their best, prepare us to meet reality with skill and grace. The sense of presence during grief is common and comforting. Mourners often report feeling a loved one nearby, hearing a footstep, or sensing a warmth that belongs to the person who has died. Clinicians recognize these as benign bereavement experiences that help attachment systems unwind slowly rather than snap. Neural circuits shaped by years of closeness continue to fire, producing sensations of proximity that soften the edges of sorrow. Over time, the episodes decline as new routines take hold, but many keep a gentle remnant, a quiet companionship that surfaces on anniversaries or in familiar places. This is not delusion. It is love finishing its work, changing form without losing meaning. In a very real sense, the dead continue to guide choices because their values and jokes and tenderness remain woven into the living. The presence that lingers is the shape of that weaving, felt like a hand on the shoulder in the night. Lucid dreamers can sometimes control their dreams at will. When awareness lights up during rapid eye movement sleep, the dreamer realizes that the scene is generated by mind and can choose how to explore. Studies show increased activity in regions that support metacognition, allowing decisions inside the dream to feel deliberate. Practitioners train by performing reality checks during the day and by keeping detailed journals that strengthen recall. Users range from rehearsing difficult conversations to transforming recurring nightmares into gentler narratives. Therapists find that facing a fear within a safe dreamscape can reduce daytime anxiety because the nervous system learns a new response pattern. Beyond utility lies wonder. Flying across an imagined sea or walking into a dawn that glows from within teaches that consciousness can paint and step into its own painting, a reminder that limitation loosens when curiosity leads. Some people experience sleep hallucinations that feel entirely real. At the borders of sleep, sensory systems may switch on while muscle tone remains inhibited, producing vivid figures, voices, or touches that overlay the bedroom. The effect is especially common after irregular nights, high stress, or sleeping on the back. Knowing the mechanism often reduces fear. The visitor is a projection. The pressure on the chest an artifact of breathing against still muscles. The footsteps a blend of house sounds and the auditory cortex searching for pattern. Gentle routines that improve rest reduce frequency, and simple tactics like wiggling toes can break the moment. The experience shows how thin the curtain is between imagination and perception. It also shows how gracefully the body tries to protect itself, locking motion during dreams so we do not act them out, at the cost of rare but unforgettable crossings between worlds. Sensory deprivation can induce profound spiritual experiences. In darkness and quiet, the brain amplifies its own rhythms until inner imagery brightens into landscapes and inner dialogue becomes a guiding voice. Caves, cells, and modern float tanks all reveal the same tendency. After an hour, light appears behind closed eyes. After longer, a feeling of vastness arrives, as if boundaries had dissolved. Chemistry echoes meditation as endorphins rise and stress hormones fall. For some, the insight is personal, a memory reframed with compassion. For others, it is philosophical, a sense that self and world are continuous. The key is setting. Safety and intention turn solitude into sanctuary. Without them, isolation simply frays the mind. With them, silence becomes generous, a tutor that teaches patience, humility, and the simple joy of being. Random coincidences occur more frequently than intuition predicts. Human intuition is calibrated for small groups and short timelines. not for the staggering number of events that daily life produces. With so many moving parts, rare alignments are guaranteed to occur somewhere each hour. We notice the ones that touch us and ignore the countless almosts that would have felt equally magical. Mathematicians use birthday problems and matching games to show how quickly probability piles up. The lesson is not to dismiss delight. It is to understand that delight is abundant. Instead of insisting that every overlap carries a hidden command, we can greet it as a friendly nod from a busy universe, a reminder that patterns are plentiful and that attention itself is a brush that paints significance wherever it rests. The human mind naturally fills gaps in reality to protect itself from chaos. Perception is prediction blended with sensation. When information is incomplete, the brain supplies the most likely continuation so that experience remains stable. This habit prevents dizziness when we move our eyes and keeps the world coherent when a scene is glimpsed for only a heartbeat. Under fear or fatigue, the same habit can create faces in smoke or footsteps in wind, because false alarms are safer than misses. The trait explains why haunted houses grow busier in dim light, and why forests grow populated at dusk. Understanding the mechanism invites gentleness. We can thank the mind for trying to keep us safe and then look again, letting more detail in. Clarity is simply prediction updated by new evidence, an elegant dance the brain performs all day. The supernatural may ultimately be a mirror reflecting how the mind creates meaning. Across the long conversation between science and story, mysteries often resolve into natural processes that are no less beautiful for being understood. What remains after each explanation is our impulse to interpret, to bridge facts with value, and to turn fear into purpose. Ghosts may become drafts and infrasound, omens may become probability, yet the desire to be guided and accompanied does not vanish. It shifts toward community, memory, and wonder. The mirror shows a meaning maker at work, layering symbol upon sensation until life feels held within a story. That act is not an error. It is a craft. When practiced with honesty and care, it produces art, ethics, and love. The unknown stays luminous, not because it hides spirits in every corner, but because awareness itself is a light that keeps finding new ways to shine. The night is still now, and the mysteries have settled like mist on the mind. You have drifted through the edges of science and wonder, where the visible world fades and the imagination begins to glow. The supernatural is not so distant from the natural. It is the human wish to understand what shimmers beyond reach, to name the chill that runs through an empty room, or the comfort that lingers after loss. Every tale of ghosts and visions, every story of light and shadow, reveals the same truth hiding at the heart of all inquiry. We live surrounded by more questions than answers, and that uncertainty is not frightening once you listen to it closely. It is gentle, and it hums with life. In the quiet of the mind, the border between the seen and unseen softens. Perhaps the spirits we chase are reflections of our own thoughts, or perhaps thoughts themselves are a kind of spirit, flickering briefly within the great current of time. Whether you lean toward reason or toward reverence, the mystery remains the same. Existence is wider than the words we have for it, and every explanation, no matter how complete, leaves a space open for wonder. As you rest, let that thought be enough. Let it comfort you that questions can cradle as softly as answers. The universe is vast, the mind even vaster, and both are filled with light we do not yet have names for. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too. one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, just breathe. Let your eyes grow heavy, and let the unknown cradle your dreams. Good night.